So friends, on those days that Donald Trump decides to attend his New York fraud trial, he sits there mumbling and grumbling under his breath. He shoots mean glares at the witnesses, but he remains largely quiet until the court takes a break. Then he walks out into the hallway, stares right at the cameras, and he lies. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, let's do a quick update on Donald Trump's New York fraud trial. It's been underway for a few weeks now, and it continues to go poorly for him. Now, recall, he has already lost much of this case because Judge Engoron ordered what's called a partial summary judgment against Trump, finding that Trump engaged in massive long-term business fraud. So this trial now is really about how much money, how much of Trump's ill-gotten gains will he be ordered to disgorge, the technical term for payback to the people of New York. But, Trump has been taking every opportunity when they take breaks in the trial to walk out into the hallway, look at the cameras, and lie. Let's start with the new reporting. This from Reuters. Headline, Donald Trump turns up at New York fraud trial, complains it distracts from campaign. And that article begins, Donald Trump made a voluntary appearance at his New York civil fraud trial and used it to complain that it's distracting from his campaign to reclaim the White House in 2024. The former U.S. president and frontrunner for the Republican nomination also took the occasion to criticize a limited gag order imposed by a Washington judge in a separate criminal trial related to his attempts to overturn his 2020 election defeat. This from Trump, quote, I should be in Iowa now. I should be in New Hampshire now, Trump told reporters outside the courtroom, referring to two important states early in a U.S. presidential election campaign. Trump also lashed out at the Biden administration and repeated his claims, his tired old claims. That's my editorial addition. Repeated his claims that the case amounted to a political witch hunt. But friends, it's not so much what's going on inside the courtroom. As I say, Donald Trump reportedly, because there are no cameras allowed in the courtroom, but reportedly he's just sitting there mumbling and grumbling, basically looking, sad, tired, pathetic, weak, scared, occasionally, looking angrily at the witnesses. But it's what happens outside the courtroom every time there's a break in the trial that I want to talk about. Now, I'm not going to inflict Donald Trump's voice on you, but let me quote a couple of things that he said earlier today when the trial was on break for a few minutes. Trump said, quote, unfortunately, I have to be here. I'm not campaigning. I have to be here for this. That's a lie. Donald Trump doesn't have to attend his civil trial, and frankly, he attends this trial sometimes, and at other times, he doesn't. He is not required to be there. Remember when E. Jean Carroll sued Trump for defamation and she mopped the floor with him? He didn't show up for a single day. So his complaint that he has to be there, so he's prevented from campaigning, is a stone cold lie. But it's not the only lie he's telling. Regarding the gag order, Trump said, quote, my speech has been taken away from me. I'm a candidate that's running for office, and I'm not allowed to speak. This is a railroading. Friends, that is another stone-cold lie. Judge Tanya Chutkan, presiding over Donald Trump's federal prosecution in Washington, D.C. for trying to overturn the 2020 election, imposed a gag order on Donald Trump. I know because I attended the court hearing earlier this week, and I heard the gag order she imposed, and she followed it up with a written order. So when Donald Trump says, quote, "My speech has been taken away from me, I'm not allowed to speak," that is complete BS. Here is exactly what Judge Chutkan's gag order provides. Trump is prohibited from making any public statements that target special counsel or his staff, the court staff or supporting personnel, or witnesses or the substance of their testimony. Those are the only three areas where Donald Trump's speech and his posts have been restricted. He can't target the special counsel or the attorneys who are prosecuting him. He can't target the court staff or personnel, and he can't target the witnesses in the case, the people who will provide the incriminating information, evidence, and testimony against Donald Trump, who incidentally primarily happen to be Republicans. So when Donald Trump says, quote, "I'm not allowed to speak," he can speak about anything under the sun, but he can't target those three categories of people. You know, during the course of the gag order hearing, the judge made it crystal clear, you can keep railing against Joe Biden, against Mike Pence, against any of your political opponents who might be running against you for the Republican nomination. You can rail against the Department of Justice, but what you can't do, what you're prohibited from doing, is targeting the prosecutors, the court staff, and the witnesses against you. So let's see how long it takes for Donald Trump to violate that restriction on his speech. I think the smart money is riding on, I don't know, maybe a day or two, maybe a week. And then we'll be back in that courtroom in Washington, D.C. to see what kind of sanctions Judge Chutkan imposes. And those sanctions will include, at their most severe, revoking his pretrial release and detaining him pending trial. That, quite frankly, is what any other defendant on pretrial release would already be suffering if his name wasn't Donald Trump. So let's hope the equal application of the law asserts itself once Donald Trump violates this gag order and does what the law provides, indeed what the law demands, detains Trump pending trial. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with y'all again tomorrow.